Welcome to the Block Podcast. I am Dallas, my wonderful host, Robin. This is episode 4. I cannot believe it. Wow.
Amazing. That's crazy.
That's so cool, man. So this episode this week is going to be on forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Wow. That's a good one. I'm excited for this.
I'm excited too.
You want to
Like
take it
I'm
away?
gonna have to be, real vulnerable. Forgiveness. I feel like it's definitely a big topic. Talk about, discuss. I don't feel like it's always the easiest thing to go about. I always like to start with questions of like, how do you feel like you start off, or like, what do you feel like forgiveness means to you?
I think that's hard. I feel like when I think of forgiveness, at least, I feel like it's like an ongoing process, right? Because I feel like you don't ever know, I guess, how far your forgiveness extends until someone pushes that limit, and you're like, am I willing to let this slide? Am I willing to, forgive them? And so for me, it's just like constantly, I don't know. I guess just trying to get better at forgiving people for different things that in the past I wouldn't have forgiven.
Yeah. I feel like it's definitely hard. It's not easy. I don't want to be like, oh, forgiving people is the easiest thing. I had a conversation with someone the other day and they put it to me like this. I was like, yeah, I forgive people, but I don't forget. And they were like, well, if you don't forget, is that really forgiveness? And I was like, well, yeah, like I forgive you for whatever the situation may have been, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to forget it internally, And they were like, well, if you can't like forget it and not forget that it happened, that's not really forgiving them. And I mean, they kind of felt different about it or whatever, but I felt like that was kind of my way of thinking about forgiveness at first, just because I was like, yeah, no harm, no foul play, but I don't think that you wouldn't do it again. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was kind of hard. It's kind of hard to navigate. I feel like forgiveness.
I feel like that's very hard because if we approach a situation that needed forgiveness again in the future, like of course, like my first instinct is gonna be like, this is how it went last. Like that's all I have to go off of. So I feel like, I don't know, not every time forgiveness and forgetting are like synonymous with each other. Yeah. I feel like they're two separate things. I can forgive you, but I'm definitely not going to forget. Yeah. I don't know.
That's how I feel too. And I feel like it's a learning process for sure, because of course, like if someone is genuinely like sorry for their actions, or they're like, understanding that something was wrong, then it's like, okay, yeah, you don't want to be like mean about it forever, or like, man, I don't really want to engage in that no more because you did that the first time, or this situation happened like this the next time. But I feel like forgiveness is really hard for me still,
I agree.
Because like we talked about previously, like respecting boundaries and stuff like that, I feel like, yeah, it's hard to just be like, oh, okay, I trust you, or like, oh, we could just reset and go back to normal. I don't feel like it's something that's easy to do.
I think when you genuinely forgive someone, the situation itself means less and less to you. Not that you forget it, but it's like, oh, like that doesn't bother me like it used to, you know? So obviously I'm not going to get upset when this situation comes back because I already forgave you. Like you can move past it, but that, I don't know. I feel like that's all part of how you become a person and how you figure out where your morals lie and where, like, how far you'll let something go is like, you have to remember those moments. Yeah. Because if that's the case, people just hurt you with the intent, like, oh, they'll forgive me eventually.
Yeah. I feel like I am a person that's so big on boundaries that it does suck when people like actually like hurt me in that way, that I feel like now I even have to think about like, do I want to forgive you? Do I don't want to forgive you? Yeah. And I feel like I definitely lean more on the side of like, oh, okay, well, it's not that big of a deal. Just go ahead and forgive them and move forward, make your peace. Because I don't want to necessarily hold on to things either. I feel like holding them inside, it just makes it more, it makes it worse. And it makes you more angry and upset about situations that you could just be like, okay, I forgive you, but I don't forget, So, yeah.
I think for me too, it's like, forgiveness is not like an instant thing for me anymore. Like if someone's like, I'm sorry, like it's, for me, really it's sorry? It's not even like that. It's more like, I'm still upset about it. So I'm not going to say, oh, it's okay yet. I'm going to let you know, like, I appreciate your apology. You know what I'm saying? But I haven't forgiven you yet. And so I feel like once I'm ready for that, we can revisit the conversation and be like, you know what, I'm willing to talk about it. But like for me, forgiveness just doesn't come because you said sorry.
Yeah, I feel like that too, and I feel like you can't really rush anybody's time with a situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know, like
absolutely.
you can't tell people when to get over things. You can't tell them how to feel about it. You know, you have to just kind of respect their space with that and where they're at. Like, if me and you were to get in an argument, you made me mad, I would have to respect that I made you mad. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't be able to be like, oh, he should just be over that. He should just get over that. Exactly. I would have to wait for you. In my opinion, I would have to wait for you to be like, okay. Not necessarily over it or mad or whatever the case may be, but we can move past this. You can't really force people to just move past stuff and just forget about it. It kind of has to be on their time. That's how I feel. So
I agree with that. Yeah. You have any specific moments where you feel like you pushed yourself to forgive someone, or like, you know what I'm saying, it was really a situation where it's like, I have to work with this forgiveness?
Relationships for sure. I feel like that's a big one. I feel like if you're dating someone and they do something that you really don't like, or let's say they cross boundaries or whatever, I feel like forgiveness in those moments wasn't always as easy as I would have wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Which caused a lot of like trauma, triggering things and stuff like that.
Right.
So for me, relationships, and I don't know if I should get down to the nitty gritty when I'm like, this person did this or this person did that, but I definitely feel like it was more hard for me to forgive people like in like relationships. What about you?
I'd probably say the same thing. I feel like for me, the relationships where like I learned the most about myself, it always started with like I could never forgive them for all that they did to me.
All they did to me.
How could I never? And then it switched to like, oh, well, we were both bad to each other. And then it was like, I can only forgive the things that I've done in the relationship. Like I can only be responsible for my own actions.
Your actions,
and so I think like that took a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it was really hard because it's like I don't want to admit that I was wrong.
Yeah. Nobody ever wants to admit that they are wrong, and I think I sometimes don't even want to admit when I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, how you gonna tell me that I was wrong or whatever? Like I go through that on a day-to-day basis sometimes because it's hard to see other people's point of view and where they're coming from in situations, especially if they don't like communicate with you or talk about it, or if you don't communicate and talk about it. So I feel like forgiveness I still struggle with, but
every day
trying to navigate through it and just understand that everybody's human, nobody's perfect. If we were, then we wouldn't even be talking about forgiving. So
and it's like you don't even know what people have already gone through before they interact with you. You know what I'm saying?
We don't know what their past life was like. Yeah.
Even the past hour before they hang with you, they can have the worst day of their life. All of a sudden they do something slight to you and you're like, oh, that person sucks. Yeah. So it's like, well, they were having the worst day ever.
I seen this video on, what was it? Probably TikTok and Instagram. And it was just like, you don't know what that person was going through. You don't know what that person was facing. You don't know what they're trying to, navigate through. So try not to take everything personal in the moment, because it's just like, that person could be having the worst day ever, and it might just so happen to like come to you, you know? And
there's a book called The 4 Agreements, and one of the agreements is it's like a self-help, like enlightenment book, and one of them is don't take anything personal.
Okay.
And I feel like that was one that like stuck with me, like the most strongly, I guess, because when I realize like don't take things personally, like these people aren't out to get you because like I want to make their day terrible. It's like, okay, when you start thinking of it like that, it's like they're going through something over there and its effects are hitting me as well. So it's like, you know what, I'm gonna let them have, because I know when I have my bad days, everyone can get it, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to remember that and then give people a little grace and patience.
There's this quote that I remember that just came to my head right now, and it's all like, sometimes it has everything to do with that person and nothing to do with you. So like,
absolutely,
when people are going through stuff, and it might come like reflecting towards you, you have to remember like it could just be stuff that's going on in their personal life as to why like the anger and resentment or whatever, So I felt like that was a really good thing that kind of helped me see like, okay, so what, people are mad, so what, people are angry, like, maybe it doesn't have anything to do with you internally, like you're a person,
Yeah. And you never know how things affect people. I feel like pain is relative.
Yeah.
And so something that might seem small to you is big to someone else, or vice versa. And so it's like they could be fighting a whole bunch of mental battles.
Yeah.
A bunch of battles where you can't see on the surface. And then they come and it's like that bit of forgiveness you give them, that grace, like could be the start of a better day for them.
Yeah.
Or for yourself too, you know, because you're putting a lot of good energy in the world every time you forgive someone.
I had this one. You asked me about a story earlier, and the only one that really comes to my mind the most is a time where I'm not, you know, I feel like I wasn't forgiven. I have my brother, my younger brother. I love him to death. He still hasn't forgiven me about, like, you know, the way certain things went through our childhood or whatever like that. And I've apologized a million times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really hurts me because I'm just like, man, like, you know, what more do you want from me? You know, I've said I'm sorry. I've said I would do anything, you know, just to have that relationship back. But who am I to tell somebody, like, you know, hey, like, forgive me already because I've already said sorry or whatever. Like, so, yeah, where that situation really hurts me, I'm going back to saying, like, you can't rush anybody's time with forgiveness. Like, you just have to understand where they are in the moment. And I think that's what that situation taught me personally. Like, can't rush forgiveness. If that person isn't ready to forgive you or whatever the case may be, like, you just kind of got to let things work themselves out.
I agree. I think that people, when it comes to forgiveness, you have to, and like you need forgiveness. If you're asking for someone's forgiveness, you have to be ready for them not to forgive you. Like that's one of the consequences that comes with that. Like having to ask forgiveness is if they could be like, no, like I don't forgive you. And you know what I'm saying? Like you got to be okay with that because like you said, that doesn't mean that they're not going to, but it just means they're going to take a lot longer. And I feel like a lot of people get upset when it's like, okay, I said I'm sorry. Like I've done all that I can. It's like, you know, exactly. Sorry doesn't always fix it. So you got to be willing to put in the work. I think sometimes if you really mean that you know, are asking or seeking forgiveness from people, you got to put in the work. Like,
I feel like it's easier to say sorry, but like what comes after that, you know what I mean? Like I could apologize for something, but it's like, are my actions going to change? Or, you know, am I going to change after I said sorry? Or am I going to go back to being the same, you know? So I wanted to ask you, like, what do you feel like some of your goals are with forgiving people? Like, because I said it's hard. Don't always do it the best way. Do you have any goals when it comes to, like, situations or, like, forgiving people?
I don't know. Just because, like I said, I feel like you don't know until you're in that situation. True. And it's like, you can forgive people. I feel like I can forgive people for a lot of things. I think for me, when it comes to forgiveness, is taking my time.
Taking your time.
I think a lot of times I want to people please. And it's like for you saying, I'm sorry. It's like, oh, that's cool. Okay. Appreciate it. Cool. We're done. I forgot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at least you said it. Like, I feel like that's like almost the bare minimum, you know?
But it probably still hurts.
And it still hurts, right? And it's like, that's not helping anyone in any case. So I think being able to take a second and be like, no, I need more time is a goal that I want to work on when it comes to forgiving people.
That's what's up.
What about you?
I feel like for me, it's just being patient with the journey of forgiveness. I'm not always patient. Like I would want somebody to normally forgive me right away. And I understand that that's not every human because I don't forgive people right away either. So just being patient with it, understanding that, being a little bit more understanding with it too. Like not everybody's me. Not everybody's you. Not everybody's me. So patience and understanding with forgiveness.
I like that. I think that's a good goal.
We're
gonna get there.
Do you have any stories?
Stories of forgiveness.
Yeah, that you had to really lock in and forgive somebody, even though you really did want to. Like it probably, you know.
Yeah, I think kind of going along like relationships with you, but more so like after the fact, like after you break up from like a really long relationship. I think there was one where I just really, I don't know, I wanted to like hold on to the anger, and I was like, I can't be happy until I feel like they get what they deserve. They get back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like the almighty judgment. And then I was like, that is insane, bro. Yeah. That is insane.
And like, when you realize how insane it is, you're like, I don't need no get back, you know?
Like you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a whole life to live. And like, why would I let this person take up this much space in my brain when I can use it for something that I love?
More positive.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that, like I said, I was in a really long on and off relationship. And after it ended, I just like wanted, like I said, I wanted my get back. And then after a while, I was like, wait a minute. Well, let's pretend like they're not even, you don't even cross their mind a second in the day. Okay. But I'm sitting here like stressing and angry and they're bringing out all these negative emotions. And it's like, why? When we could just both lead separate lives and I can be happy, you can be happy. And we can just keep pushing it like that. Took a long time for that though.
Those things take time. I'm not saying, like I said,
like years.
It's never to put out the message that forgiveness is just the most easy thing because like I don't believe that it is. Like, so yeah, I understand that. I do. I really do.
It's hard.
I really do.
So do you think everyone deserves forgiveness?
Do I think everyone deserves forgiveness? I'm going to put it like this. I'm going to say yes, because I always want to be forgiven. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's how I look at it. Like, yeah, if I'm expecting everyone to forgive me, I have to do this. I have to put out the same thing. Because if I didn't, then I can't be mad if the next person doesn't forgive me. So I feel like, yeah, forgiveness is like, people deserve to have that. Yeah. For peace of mind, for, to help them get through their day, to help them not dwell and sit in certain situations. So what about you?
I'm going to disagree with you.
Dang.
I know. I don't think, and I mean this sometimes in extreme situations, because like I don't want to like discredit anyone's stories that have gone through like some crazy stuff. Yeah. Like I just think some certain things are too heinous to forgive. Okay. And I think that there will be times where like you can't control your emotions, you know what I'm saying? And if something is really bothering you, it's hard to forgive. Yeah. Like I think, and I don't think that's necessarily wrong sometimes too. Like if someone really hurts you in a way that you just can't give past, like just for the sake of forgiving them, I don't think that, you know what I'm saying, you should feel obligated to do that.
Maybe I'm just too nice. I don't know. I try not to sit in things, and I try to just understand that, like I said, we're all human. Yeah.
I think there's got to be checks and balances on like consequences.
I need to make a list.
Like if someone, you know what I'm saying? If someone does some crazy stuff, like you gotta expect that people ain't gonna forgive you. Like if it's something really crazy. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like people could just be like, oh, I can do whatever I want, because eventually they'll forgive me. I just gotta wait it out. And it's like
those situations, right. I feel like they're definitely a little bit different, where I want to give everybody forgiveness and stuff because I want that in return. I guess I can't say like, not like how you said, not everybody deserves it.
It's a gray area. It's definitely not black and white. If
someone was to do something really, really bad, I'm honestly like, dang, I probably would never talk to that person again or something like that. And that's not me forgiving, So you're a smart man. Because I don't really think about those things until I'm really in those situations. Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm obligated to forgive someone.
True.
Anytime. I want it to be organic. Yeah. And come because it's like, I want to move past this situation and I'm ready to forgive you. Opposed to just being like, well, I guess it's been a long time. Might as well. Like, so.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you put that like that, because a lot of times, like, I just try to really just be kind, how we talked about previously, and I try not to harp on things and dwell in them. So I'm just like, if it makes it easier for me to forgive you, then sure. Like, let's move forward. Let's move past it.
Yeah.
But, dang, yeah. Now I'm going to go home with Nate tonight and be like, which person didn't deserve...
Let me pull out my list. Hold on. Let me see right here.
Which person didn't deserve forgiveness, and who actually deserves forgiveness, and why the hell are you so nice? Okay.
It's hard because it sounds like, why wouldn't you? But it's like,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I have got a question. What does it mean to, like, what does it take to forgive?
Okay.
Oof.
Jeez.
What does it take to forgive, man?
I feel like it takes a strong heart, a strong mind, a strong, like, understanding of yourself, understanding the boundaries, because, like, yeah, that's a hard question. I feel like it just takes understanding within yourself and whatever went on with that person. I feel like it comes more from internal stuff more than, like...
I think when it comes to, forgiving people... To like honestly forgive someone, you gotta be ready to let whatever that situation was go.
Yeah.
Or like live as if the person who's asked forgiveness is ready to also move on. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't expect them to always feel bad if you're saying, I forgive you for that.
Yeah.
So I think it's understanding the situation and then being like, am I ready to let this go? Like, yes or no? Like, and then go from there.
What does it take to forgive? Like I said, y'all gonna have me go home tonight and really write in my journal. What do you feel like it takes to forgive?
Are you ready for this?
Are you ready to forgive? Yeah, I think really like how we're talking about now, asking yourself that question. Are you ready for that forgiveness? Do you feel like you can, will the situation be better after that? Do you feel like you can move forward and it won't be such a hassle in your life? I think that's part of what it takes. And it's one thing
too to like, not be like, okay, maybe if I forgive them, then I'll feel better. Like that is not, I don't feel like that goes hand in hand with each other. And I feel like a lot of people would be like, I want to forgive just to make the situation better.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, now you got resentment. You don't feel like the situation is solved. They're trying to move as if the situation is resolved. And it's just like you get farther and farther in the opposite direction. I feel like I
struggle because I'll forgive people, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to treat you the same after that. Like,
it's a consequence. Yeah,
consequences, actions, consequences, put them all together. Like, I could be like, okay, yeah, you said sorry, but does that mean that I'm still going to be the same after that apology? Or, so that was a good question, Libby. I love that, because what does it actually take? Go home, write it down.
I don't know.
5-6 times on a piece of paper. What does it take? What does it take? What does it take?
The craziest part too, I feel like it changes every single time for every single situation. It needs something different.
Like you said, a lot of situations are harder than others where you just like, man,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah. So, dang, I like that question a lot. Well, once again, guys, I am Robin. This is my wonderful co-host, Dallas. We want to give a special shout out to our editor, producer, Libby, behind the camera. Woo woo!
The best.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and then we will see you guys next time. Love y'all. Peace. Great job, mister.